Dude, tell me about it. I just hired a full-time editor, so not editor, but like videographer, editor, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like having literally a full-blown assistant at this point.
Yeah.
You already learned.
So my first question would be, why did you leave real estate or brokering real estate to be a full-time investor?
It's a great question. So when I got into real estate, my first goal was to be an investor. But at the time, I was 19 years old, never made any money, and I thought I needed money to start investing in real estate. So my plan was to become an agent, learn the industry, and once I have enough capital, transition to being a full-time investor.
Mm-hmm.
And then about last year, I realized I just kept getting calls about, Aram, I have 100,000, I have 200,000, I have 50,000, I have $1 million. I want to start investing with you. I'm like, well, I don't need money to invest. I can just quit right now. So that's what happened.
Wait, what do you mean?
So people are like partners, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I raise money for all my deals. So what I realized around them, like I would say towards the end of 22, beginning of 2023, that I never needed the money in the first place. I just need to be able to find the great deals, and then the people with money were investing with me instead of me being their broker. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that way I could have a little bit more control of my income and go out there and find the best deals, and everybody's happy.
So you prefer being an investor over a realtor?
100%.
And you said you were good, right?
Yeah, I did okay. I think my most, like before I retired, like 2022, I did like 8.3 million.
good.
So, but I never really had the passion for it, man. I just did the bare minimum to get by. And I just didn't want to be like an average agent. Short of that, I had no ambitions to make like 10 million, 20 million, 30 million. I just wanted to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And I got out.
Do you prefer fixing and flipping or buying and holding?
I would say a little combination of both. I hate flipping like single family homes, but I have 2 apartment buildings. I love flipping those because they're like a 2 to 5 year hold. So I have cash flow to safe investment, and I get all the upside when I sell.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of criteria do you have for a property?
Criteria?
Yeah.
It's got to have upside for me. So I have to be able to raise the value by at least 25% so I can refinance the capital back out. Other than that, it's got to be in a good location and does not need to require a lot of work. Like in and out, speed. I'm about speed.
So you don't do like a complete gov rehab?
I try not to. No. I mean, unless they're going to tell me I'm going to make $150,000, then I'm like, okay, we can assess it individually and make a decision from there. But on the flips, what I really like to do is max budget of $60,000. We're in and out within like 4 to 6 weeks, and I can get it sold, and I could do those deals like that. Right? That's maybe a 90-day turnaround time from start to finish. I can do those 4 times a year. It's safer, faster, less headache, and I make the same money as if I just did that one deal that takes me 6 months.
What areas do you like?
C plus and better. So anything that's, I don't know like exact cities, but I just do not like to be in any like, if I'm going to get shot, if I go there, I'm not going, right? No, I don't care how good the deal is. Like there's a lot of deals happening in the South Side. That's not where I buy, right? Because it's just too dangerous. It's not a good market. And when the market crashes and you're stuck holding that property, that's when you deeply regret it. So I don't buy in those areas.
Okay. So you avoid the hood?
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard a lot of people talk about Section 8 rentals. Like, so you don't do that?
No. That never makes sense to me, bro. If I was brand new and I want to get started and I had like maybe $10,000 and that's it, and I just wanted cash flow, I would do Section 8. But other than that, makes no sense to me.
So, I mean, what does your portfolio mainly consist of? Like, what areas?
So right now I have 2 apartment buildings, 2 7 units in LaGrange Park.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, we just sold the flip in Crystal Lake, but I have another flip in Arlington Heights, and that's about it for the moment.
Okay. I mean, so it's interesting they say 7 units because I feel like most people that talk about investing say to avoid anything above 4 units.
Why would they say that?
I don't know. I said, I didn't personally go to it, but you heard of Andrew Holmes?
Yeah.
Apparently he had like some kind of event, and they just said to avoid those.
Okay. So that's a great point you brought up there. So when it comes to like a multifamily, right, the 2 to 4 units just easier to get into, the lower barrier to entry. You can do the 3.5% down payment. Those options do not exist on the commercial side. And there's a lot of ways that you could lose money on the commercial side. For example, your loan is due every 5 years, most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you really want to commit to it, you could do like a 10-year term. But that fixed loans are very hard to find in commercial real estate, right? So that means every 5 years you have to requalify for that building. If you don't know that, you can't prepare for that, you don't run your business the right way, then of course you're going to lose money. But to that I would say, what's your goal? I have never met a residential real estate investor worth $100 million, $200 million, $1 billion. They're probably worth around 5 to 10 on average, right? But if you're investing in commercial real estate, you can actually scale to that portfolio. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think, like, one thing I didn't know up until I got into real estate was, like, the balloon loans, right?
Yeah.
It's like, damn. Like, especially being older, right? Let's say you're at that age where you're going to retire, and then all of a sudden you got to refinance a 7-8 unit building. That's going to be hard.
Yeah. It's not as bad as you think, actually, because when it comes to commercial, as long as you're running it right, the building will qualify for the loan itself, right? All the bank wants to care about is, can you support yourself? And, like, can you cover your own bills? Otherwise, they don't really care about your income supporting the actual loan, as long as the asset itself covers it. So they look for the DSCR ratios are huge in commercial, right?
Yeah.
So when I was buying in 22, like, they were a lot more lenient with it. Like 1.1, you'd be able to get a loan, right? Now, that basically just give you, like, that means if your property is making $110,000 NOI, your loan amount, your loan debt and principal, principal and interest can't exceed $100K, right? So that's your 1.1, the DSCR ratio. Your lender, you probably already know this. I apologize. So now it's like 1.25, and you can't use performance. So you just got to make sure that you're always raising your rent every single year to adjust for utilities going up, and obviously for your new loan to come due, so you're a little bit better prepared.
Okay. Well, I mean, over here at Neighborhood Loans, we only do residential.
Okay.
We don't really do too much of the commercial. Really, as far as commercial, we do 5 to 8 units.
That's commercial.
Yeah, but it's 30% down, 6 months reserves.
You say 3?
Yeah.
3, like,
No, 30% down.
30.
30% down.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
but it's
3%. I'm in.
but the good thing about it is that it's 30 years fixed.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But only you'll go up to 8 units.
Yeah, only up to 8 units.
Do you have to be a primary resident or no?
No, you need to have a primary residence and investment property.
Is this a Fannie Mae loan or?
No, it's not QM.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Good to know.
It's DSCR.
Okay.
Max loan amount is $2 million.
What's the DSCR that you guys are looking for?
What do you mean?
Like, what's the DSCR ratios that you'll lend on?
It just has to cover the mortgage.
That's it?
Yeah.
So 101? I'll be damned. Okay. Learn something new today.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess non-QM loans are kind of tricky because they're not like Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, where I think it's hard to source, like, I want to say hard to source, but most people don't know about non-QM loans, right?
Yeah.
And
hold on. What's the interest rate on this?
It's probably high.
I'm out. I'm out.
It's not going to be like regular 6-7% for sure.
Was it like 9-10?
I mean, last non-QM loan I did was 9.
I'm out. I'm so out. So on the commercial side, my loans are actually lower. My interest rate's lower.
Really?
I'm about when people were paying like 7% in interest, I was getting 6.2.
Dang.
Just because it's a 5-year balloon loan, so it's gonna be a little bit more flexible. Yeah.
I have some questions written down. What are some common mistakes you see first-time investors make?
Ooh, I would say basically shopping for their budget, but not shopping for the best deal. Like if I have $20,000, right, and you try to find a deal that you can buy for $20,000, you're really limiting your scope of what you can purchase, and you're not really buying the best possible deal in the best location. So that's a mistake that I made. Like I thought I was just looking within my budget. I didn't realize there's so many people out here with capital. So all I really need to do is find the best deal, and then just go raise the money to do it.
Okay, that was actually some really good advice because. I think like a lot of people would like look for their budget. Okay, I only have 60.
Absolutely.
And then they would just get the bottom of the barrel deal.
100%. And it's just more comfortable that way, right?
Yeah.
So if I have, let's say, $100,000, I'm just going to look for deals that I could buy for, say, 60 and renovate for 30 and try to sell for like 130, right? Or something like that. But where do you know you could buy a property for $60,000 that ARV is worth 130? Not in the best place. Maybe in a place that your appliances might get stolen, and your furnace might get jacked, your windows might break, your contractors might not show, or your buyer might disappear. You never know, right? So why would you buy in those areas? Or when you can go and say, let's say you have $100,000, you find a great deal that costs $200,000 to buy, but once you're done with it, it's going to be worth $325,000. That's a way better deal and better location, right? All you have to do is go raise a little bit more money, give up a little bit of the profit, but at least you have a safer deal and your money's protected.
So, I mean, question with that, I mean, you said that you wanted to get into real estate investing because you thought you needed money, but then you realized you didn't. But then again, I think I'm assuming
Mhm.
that the capital that you were able to raise was because of your experience. So
Yes.
how did you find
Yes.
investors willing to work with you?
So in the beginning, I was my entire business was based off helping investors find deals, right, on the MLS when that was possible back in the day, right? So when I did transition, there was just a lot of people saying, "Why don't I just invest with you?" So just a list of people with capital that'd be happy to work with me. Now, if I wasn't a real estate agent, I would have the same exact experience. It would just because it really only took me about 2 years to do that, right? So if I was not a licensed real estate agent, I would just go find someone like myself that was an investor that was making money. I would work for them for free or whatever to be their assistant, whatever they needed from me, right? And then I'd see how they're doing deals. I'd bring them a deal and I'd partner with them and I would build my track record off of their help and guidance. It's exactly how I do it. Instead of taking 7 years to do it, it would have taken me maybe 2. And I've already been investing in deals. By now, I 100% would have been a millionaire by now. But you live and you learn.
Yeah. How do you find a good deal?
Hard work and dedication.
Discipline.
Honestly, bro, there's no easy way to find them. Wholesalers, mailers, you got to spend a lot of money on marketing. You got to spend a lot of time cold calling. The same way you find a client, right? So you got to network. You got to be in certain rooms. You got to always talk about that you're looking for a deal or you're looking for a client. You have to start cold calling like probates, pre-foreclosures, absentee owners, all of them, right? And go from there.
So do you buy deals from wholesalers?
I do, but they mostly suck. I've been able to buy one good deal from a wholesaler. Every other deal I've received is like, I might make $15,000 if I rent it. But I'm always looking. I love my wholesalers. As long as they can bring me a good deal, I love them.
What do you think about wholesaling in general?
I think it's great. I think it solves a big need, right? So for me, I personally do not have the desire to cold call a bunch of people to then go and meet with them and then schedule, like lower the price and then da-da-da. I don't want to do all that or spend the money on marketing. I would rather have somebody come to me and say, Aram, I got this deal. I'm going to make $20,000 on it, but you could go make $50,000 on it. No problem. I work with that guy all day, every day. Because for me, it's easier just to raise the money, do the deal, and be done with it. Versus sit there and like, hey, have you thought about selling lately? Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. It's not fun. So I think they have a really good need in the industry.
You don't enjoy selling?
Do I enjoy selling?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I enjoy networking. I enjoy like talking to people, but like selling something, never been a fan of it.
Never?
No.
Okay. It sounds like you were a pretty good agent. What do you think made you a good agent?
Honestly, just communication skills and good energy. It doesn't really require much to be a good real estate agent. Be happy to be at work, do work, stay dedicated, stay consistent, and then I had good communication skills and I actually like educated myself. That was about it. And you were better than, I would say, 90% of agents. There's a lot of people just get their license and, okay, when a client, just waiting for a client now. Client never shows up because you don't cold call, you don't do anything, you don't network, you don't prospect. So I think those made me a good agent.
So you did a lot of cold calling?
My first year, I was like a maniac. It was 3 hours a day. I think I talked to 30 to 40 people with like contacts a day. I think I was calling like 200 people, expires, FSBOs, circle prospecting. Everybody got a phone call from me. And it led to almost no business. I think I got like from cold calling my whole career, maybe I got 8 deals.
Dang.
Yeah. And I was consistent. Where I messed up, bro, follow-up. I am horrible at follow-up. So a lot of the deals that were like good leads never went anywhere because I never followed up. So most of my business came from just my sphere of influence, networking, and growing through social media.
Okay. How do you manage tenant relationships?
I keep it professional. I'm very nice, cordial, and that's simple as that. Like, if they need something, I get it done. Otherwise, that's pretty much it.
Landlord specials or no?
No. You'll find that the landlord special doesn't work long term, right? So all my units that are renovated, they're renovated properly because I plan to sell, right? So if I was to do a landlord special renovation and I go to sell, that renovation is useless in 3 years, right? So it has to last and it's got to be able to hold its value and keep my rents high. Because my rents, for on that block that I'm at, I have the first, second, third, and fourth highest rent, right? In that order. Why? Just because I renovated a little bit better. It's really nice and clean. I didn't use like the most expensive materials, but I also didn't go cheap where like the floor is going to start warping in about 2 weeks, and I got to deal with those problems.
Okay. And how do you deal with like walking that thin line of obviously, you want to make profit.
Yeah.
And you also don't want to cheap out, right?
Yeah. Well, that's just knowing like what materials to buy, where to spend the money, where not to spend the money, right? For example, I'm never going to spend money on like really, really nice paint. Doesn't make sense for me. But I will spend money on like nice countertops, nice white checker cabinets. And as long as you have good connections with wholesalers, it's not as expensive as you think. What a lot of people don't realize is when you go to a contractor to get a quote, all they do is go to the wholesaler, wholesale materials. They get a quote and then add 20, 30, 40% on top of it. And then they sell it to you, plus install, right? So I'm able to cut that off by going straight to the wholesaler myself.
Okay. Another thing I hear a lot is that it's hard to find a good contractor.
Yeah.
How did you find yours?
I got lucky. He was actually a past client of mine. As soon as he said he was in construction, my eyes went up. I was like, yes. And I helped him find a 3-unit in Elmwood Park. We bought that for like $460. It's worth around like $680 today. So he's very thrilled with that. And I hired him to do my very first flip. I didn't know what I was doing. And he kind of helped me out along the way on the construction side. And then I just kept working with him, referring him a bunch of business. And then just built the relationship from there. Like I would say I definitely have a friend, like one of my close friends is my contractor, and that helps a lot. And being able to be a valuable customer. So one thing I always say is be the best client for that person and you'll never be mistreated, right? So if I'm bringing your business $100,000 to $150,000 in revenue, just myself a year, I think my jobs are going to get done on time with high quality. If there is a problem, I think it'll be addressed very quickly. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do. So I refer him a lot of business, including my own. I mean, this year alone, we're probably at $110,000 in revenue for his business just through me. I haven't even referred him anything yet. Right? We have a lot more to do. So I guess that's how. But I will give you some tips. There's a lot of people that hire a guy named Frank or Joe or whatever, like a random person shows up, just him, or maybe a friend, right? That contractor is just going to go from job to job to job. That person does not have a business, but they're going to be super cheap. And that's like the trap that people fall into, right? Oh, this guy's going to do my entire house for $7,000 in labor. Whereas the other contractor was a little bit more professional, showed up on time, who actually has an estimate that he could prepare for you, could sign with dates and, deposits, et cetera, et cetera. And maybe it was $12,000, but you didn't hire that guy, right? Or there's a lot of little things you could look for. Let's say you schedule an appointment to meet with the guy if he's super late, right? Or if he's super late or he misses a lot of things, like that interview process, like where you walk into the job and quoting things out, I think is an important way to tell if someone is good or someone is bad, right? Like my contractor, what I liked is it was professional from the jump and very business oriented, hungry to grow, and I like that. Even though he's not the cheapest, totally okay with that because the quality is always great and it's very consistent. I never had to do a rehab twice. It's a big flex.
What is your worst investment you think you made, if any?
Knock on wood, I have not made a bad investment yet. I have not lost any money. Nothing has not gone according to my plan. From buying a deal to selling a deal yet. Again, knock on wood. But I know that time is coming. So I'm always prepared.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say is a good investment you've made?
My buildings are phenomenal investments. All my flips are great investments because I only buy in A-class locations. And I would say both my buildings are probably my prime. Those are my favorites because when I sell those, I'm going to make about $200,000 to $250,000. I haven't made a flip that made me that kind of money. And in the meantime, it saved me so much on taxes. My first year of owning my building, I saved $45,000 in income tax that I should have paid. But just because I owned that building and I know what to do with depreciation, I paid $0. Actually, I got, I think, $1,200 back. I was very excited about that.
So I guess with you currently own 2 commercial buildings. What are some goals for the future?
More commercial buildings. So right now, the opportunity in multifamily is very, very difficult because everybody's in it, and it's really, really hard to make money right now. So for that reason, I'm kind of looking at other asset classes. I looked at office, but it scares the hell out of me. Like, you can get it really, really cheap. What's up?
You said what?
Office buildings? But they're just, I don't know how to lease that office space. I don't know the demand for it. I know it will come back. Like, we're in a beautiful office right here, right? So I know there's businesses that require it, but it's a little bit too risky for me right now. So I'm looking at retail and still looking at multifamily, but I'm introducing myself to retail a little bit. I got a retail center right now that we're or negotiating. So we'll see if it goes through.
Nice. What are your thoughts on other asset classes like crypto and stocks?
I have a little bit of crypto, but that's like, I don't invest in crypto unless I'm ready to lose it, right? So for me, it's a little bit of, it's a little gambling. So I'm like, okay, I have $10,000. If I lose it, great. If it goes to 50, great. I just invest, I put it in there and I just don't look at it until, and then I rely on my cousin. He's a little bit more into crypto, so he tells me what to buy and he tells me when to sell. Till then, I don't even check.
Okay. What crypto?
I have no clue. I know, I think I got some Shiba though. I got some Shiba. I don't know if I'm doing well with it at all. So
you just buy and don't look at it?
I just buy and don't look at it, yeah.
That's good.
Because I'm going to be anxious, man. As soon as I see it past like what I paid for it, I'm going to sell. And I'm going to miss out on the upside.
So you mentioned like the A+, C+. What do you mean by that?
So it's just locations. So there's an A-class asset and there's an A-class location, right? An A-class asset would be like a fully remodeled, nice, clean, like done for you, premium. You just walk in. Like all you have to do is just take over the property.
Like turnkey.
Right? Turnkey, exactly. But that could be in the hood. You don't want that. You want the opposite, right? I ideally would want like a C-class asset that I can make better in an A-class location. To give you a perspective, I always look at the school districts. Like for example, I don't know if I'm still a licensed agent, so I may or may not be able to say exact cities. But if a school district is an A, like a 10 out of 10, that's an A-class location. It's desirable. People want to live there, right? It's a lot of demand. The prices are very high, and they're going to stay high. When the market crashes, the first people to lose the value is, I would say, D and C-class neighborhoods, right? And the last person to lose value is that, like, for example, a Schaumburg, a Downers Grove, etc. And when the market's picking back up, what's the first markets to pick back up? A-class locations. So that's where I want to be. It's just a safer investment for me.
Okay. So, I mean, I used to hear that, like, single-family homes, like, were good, like, buy and holds. Do you think so or no?
The older I get, the more I experience in real estate, I realize there's really no bad way around it. It really depends on your goal, right? So if your goal is just, I just want like a nice, simple life. I just want a few rentals, cover my expenses, or sure, you could do that with single family. If you truly want to be wealthy, it's just going to be a lot harder to do with single family because you can't scale. Like the idea of owning 1,000 houses, I don't know if that's even possible. Like, as you'd have to have the infrastructure you would need to own 1,000 homes is insane, right? Think about it. That's 1,000 addresses, 1,000 different electric bills, gas bills, water bills, property tax bills. Whole bunch of things are happening here, right? And you need probably like a team of like 200 people to manage that. Or you could buy, say, 4 200-unit buildings, 5 200-unit buildings. That's just 5 properties. It's easier to scale. You can get to higher numbers faster. So it really depends on your goal.
So like long term, like Aram in 20 years.
Yeah.
What do you think is like?
I haven't thought that far ahead.
You haven't thought that far?
Oh, no. All I know is I'm not a big fan of buy and hold. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like I just think it's like for super, super rich people. Like if I have so much money, I just don't know where to put it. I'm going to buy that premium asset. I'm just going to just turnkey. I'm going to park my money. I'll be back in like 10 years to refi, right? That's not me. I want to actually be buying distressed assets, making them better, and then selling them. Because I'll give you an example of my building. Because I've tossed and turned about this for like a solid year and a half. And I went to Manny Koshman's event only to ask him this question. Why do you sell everything? Because everyone says you should buy and hold, right? And I always thought, I just bought the 7-unit. I renovated so far 3 in one of the units, right? I got 2 in one of the units. Renovate about 2 more and I can sell the building. If I was to hold it for another 10 years, right, maybe it's going to be worth $300,000 more. But in those 10 years, first I got 10 more years of headache. All those units I just renovated got to get re-renovated. My roof's going to get old. I got to do some tuck pointing. My boiler's probably going to go. That's $30,000, right? All these issues are going to come up after I just spent all this money to renovate it. That's going to dig into that $300,000 profit. So in 10 years, what do I really have? No more tax benefits and almost the same profit. So I want to get it to the peak, and I want to sell to somebody else, take my profits, and just keep rinse and repeat. That way I can turn 2 into 4, 400 to 500, 500 to $1 million, and just scale that way. And that's what Manny Koshman told me when I asked him. I was like, why do you sell everything? And he said, the first retail center I bought for $600, I sold for $1.3. It's worth $3 million today. I said, damn. He's like, one of my Bugattis is worth that. I was like, damn. That was a good line. I was like, okay, makes sense. Because what he was trying to say is if I held on to that for 30 years or 20 years, I think 15 actually, yeah, I would have made an extra $1 million, right? But because I was able to sell and take my profits, I turned 600 to 1.2 million. Then from there, I turned 1.2 million to 200 million because I was able to flip my way up. So that's why I don't see myself in 30 years doing anything different other than constantly finding great properties below market, making them better. If I have to hold them for a certain period of time before, it's time to sell them, great. I'll always have cash flow and sell them when it's time.
As someone who sells a lot of properties, what do you think about the NAR lawsuit?
I think it's been a little bit overblown. So I have a few takes on it. From my understanding, the only thing that's going to really, because there's really no requirement right now for a buyer to pay any commission to the buyer's agent. It's at a discretion of the listing agent, I believe. And listing agent could decide however much they want to pay. We just have to disclose that to the seller, right? From my understanding, the only thing that's going to change is now on the MLS, we are not allowed to disclose how much we're paying, correct? So if that is the case, which is exactly the case in commercial real estate, it's been like that for a long time, that just means the buyer's agent is going to have to call me and negotiate his commission right then and there, right? Because he doesn't know what I'm paying him. That's my understanding of it. So I don't think buyer's agents are going to go out of business or anything like that. I think the bad ones might, because maybe like the amount that you're going to get paid would be less and less. Because before, if I didn't put 2.5, I might not get that phone call. Now you have to call me. If you call me, I know you have somebody interested, right? So I think it just might lower the cost of, for buyer's agents a little bit. But I don't think it's going to change the industry as much as people think. It's been a little bit overblown. I'm not going to lie. I just made a video about it just to go into the hype because I knew it was going to be huge. But if you really ask me, I do not want to deal with the buyer directly. They don't know what they're doing, right? I also don't want to. But the annoying part is a lot of buyer's agents don't know what they're doing. All I want is good agents to know what they're doing, prepare their clients, make sure they're qualified, and explain to them what you can and cannot ask for an inspection and how to get them from emotional to logical whenever the things that, when you're buying a house, things go left and right like this, right? Should go like that. So, hoping for good agents still exist.
Yeah, I think a lot of people outside the business, get the emotional side completely. They think that the agent just opens the door, boom, sold, sign here. It's a lot that goes into it.
There's a lot do open the door, and I want those gone. But there's a lot that I saw a video the other day that he goes like, okay, if there's no buyer's agent, the guy comes in, likes the place, and says, okay, I want to write an offer. So okay, bring me a contract. What contract? He doesn't know what kind of a contract, right? So he's got to pay an attorney like $2,000 to write up a contract. Well, what if his offer doesn't get accepted? He's got to do that 5 times. You spend $10,000 to write up contracts and never got accepted. He's going to really miss that buyer's agent now, isn't he? Because I have worked with people where I have put in 12, 15, sometimes 20 contracts, especially with investors. I was putting in contracts 3 times a day, right? Imagine if I was charging per contract. Matter of fact, it's a great business idea.
All right.
Hey, $750 per contract, send it over.
Yeah, that's not bad. I think like you said, it was blown out of proportion. I mean, there's other ways you could disclose it. Like someone mentioned, well, why don't you just put in a showing time? Or why don't you just put in the additional info tab? And I was like, never really thought of that.
I have a feeling that's probably not allowed too.
You don't think so?
No.
That's not the MLS though.
The additional what?
Additional info.
Oh, like in a little PDF on the side? I don't know. One time I put a link in the additional and they got me for $1,000.
They fined you?
Nah, I got out of it. But they're like, if you don't do something, we're going to fine you $1,000. Man, get out of here.
Damn.
Yeah. But if you can get away with it, get away with it. I mean, I, as a seller, have no problem paying a buyer's agent 2.5%. Just bring me a good buyer. But do not bring me a buyer, and you want me to take $50,000 off the price and pay you. No, thank you. If I'm taking $50,000 off the price, it just makes it difficult to negotiate.
Yeah, I saw your video on it, and I was like, I don't know.
That was one take. I was so happy with that one.
I was like, I don't know if he means it or he's just saying it to rile people up.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit mean it, a little bit to rile people up, right? Because what people don't really like, the caption said 90% of realtors will fail, right? That was not a new statistic.
Yeah,
that's what I made fail now, right? So it's not like I made it, it's not nothing new. So, yeah, I think people are just blowing a little bit out of proportion and I think it'll lead to better agents making more money and bad agents losing quicker, which is good.
Yeah, I was thinking about it and I don't really think that at all.
What do you think is going to happen?
Nothing. I think it's not going to change anything. I think the main thing is that, like, you're supposed to now have your buyer sign a contract before you show them a property.
Or the buyer agency agreement.
Mm-hmm. But I think it was always supposed to be like that. Just nobody did it.
Some states required it. Our states doesn't. Illinois doesn't require. I have never done that because I hate the idea of like a contract with somebody. I was like, dude, I'm gonna work, and if you feel some reason you can find better, go get better.
I was gonna ask you when you started in real estate. Like, did you go to college for real estate, or did you?
Oh,
What is your background prior to getting into real estate?
so I was studying criminal justice at the age of 18. I wanted to be a police officer. Do you know why?
Why?
Because I wanted to drive a Charger. That's it. I didn't want an office job, and I wanted to drive a Charger. And I was like, you know what? I was broke, very, very broke. So the idea of buying my own Charger, like that's a $50,000 car. I'm like, who can afford that, right? But they'll give it to me, and they'll pay me. This is a great job. And I'm in class one day. I'm like, hold on a second. I forgot I have to stop crime. Like if somebody calls me, shots fired, I'm not going. I am not going. Because once I found out how much they paid me, it's like $52,000 starting. I'm like, to risk my life, first and foremost, they don't get paid enough. So I'm like, all right, I got to go somewhere else. And then I went to mechanical engineering. My whole goal with mechanical engineering was to get a nice paying job, save up enough money to start my own business one day. Because if I just think, the only thing I knew is I wanted to be rich because I was tired of being broke, right? So I'm like, all right, business owners are all rich. So what I'm going to do is get a job, go to school, get a degree, get a job, and then at 30 years old, I'll start a business, right? And that's how I'll get wealthy by 35. That was the grand plan at like 18 and a half. And at 19, I failed all of my engineering classes one by one by one. I have never had a low GPA like that. Withdraw just to protect my transcripts, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll just go into business instead. Get my business degree, and I'm going to community college, so I have no debt. I have to decide on going to university. I run the numbers. It's going to cost me $40,000 to get my bachelor's degree in business. I'm like, what the hell are they going to teach me? This doesn't make any sense. So I started doing some more research. I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to spend $40,000 to get a business degree and lose 2 years of my life, I'm better off going into $40,000 in debt, but starting a business today, right? I'm totally comfortable with that, which is exactly what happened. I started doing some research, and I discovered it backwards. All business owners are somehow invested. All business owners and wealthy people are invested in real estate. So I'm like, okay, so that's the final destination, is investing in real estate. And then the YouTube algorithm showed me being a real estate agent. I was like, what? This is possible? And the barrier to entry was $2,000. So I'm like, I got a credit card with a $3,500 balance. I could do this, right? So that's what happened, man. I got my real estate license. I went into about $35,000 in credit card debt just to, keep it up. I had to drive Uber for like on and off for 4 years. And then finally it took off, and I haven't been an Uber driver since.
So I guess you kind of mentioned like becoming a real estate agent through YouTube. Who kind of inspired you?
Brian Casella.
Brian Casella?
Yeah, Brian Casella. I saw his video. It was in this like chair like in front of his GTR. I said, wow, this guy's got a GTR. And I watched that video, and then the algorithm just kept showing me more and more and more. And I liked it. The only thing is I was 19 at the time, almost turning 20. And we had to be 21 years old in Illinois to get your real estate license. So I had like a year and a half to just kill. So I watched all the interviews, like I listened to all the podcasts before even getting my license. And that was a blessing in disguise because a lot of us get into this industry with false expectations. Like, I don't know how lending is, but it is not easy. It is one of the only industries where as soon as I get licensed, especially here in Illinois, there's 48,000 other people with the same license that can do exactly what I do. No business has that level of competition, right? But thank God I've seen enough videos to recognize how many of them fail. As far as I'm concerned, I'm like, I really only have to worry about the top 10%, 4,800 agents, and there's enough houses for all of us to eat, right? So, yeah, I didn't have false expectations. That's why I was able to survive those 4 years. Because I'm like, it's supposed to be hard. And then it went from there.
What are some difficulties that you think agents face? I mean, obviously, we give the bad agent a hard time, but
yeah,
it's genuinely hard. It's not easy. I started off as a real estate agent, and then I got into lending.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the hard parts of being an agent?
The hardest part of being a realtor is finding the client. That's it. The actual real estate side of the deal is very, very simple. You want to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house? Okay, what's your budget? Doesn't work, does work, lower, higher, boom, let's go get it. You have a house to sell? Okay, what's it worth? Run the comps, put it up, wait for offers, just negotiate. As long as you got some communication skills, you're going to be fine. Super easy. Finding that person to hire you to sell their house, very difficult, right? So you got to be able to educate yourself, be professional, and be able to sell yourself very, very well to be successful, right? And I think a lot of agents you got to say this is a business, right? They approach it like a job. Not a job, let's say almost like a hobby. Like in any business, I can't just open up a coffee shop and expect people to show up. I got to get out there. I got to pass business cards. I got to talk to people. I got to prospect. I got to spend money on marketing, this, that, and the other to get people into my shop, right? So that's the most difficult part. And what I did was, the best advice I give any agent, I wish it was given to me, is don't look at what's working for everybody else. Take a step back and say, what are my strengths, right? Because lead gen is the number one problem you have to solve. What is the best way that you can generate leads in the most consistent fashion, right? What actions you will be most consistent in. The reason I say that is because I cold call. I forced myself to cold call for a whole year, right? And I hated every minute of it. And after that, I got some deals for my first year. If I kept doing it, I maybe got a little bit of a few more deals, but it was not my strength. So therefore, as soon as I started doing well, I stopped cold calling. I hated it, right? So therefore, you get this roller coaster of up and down. Oh, I got 3 pending deals. I'm going to start prospecting. Now you have a 6 month before you have to get more deals again, right? It's like a run. You're back driving Uber again. That was at least my experience. Once it was like my 4th year, I was tired of cold calling. I said, look, man, I'm seeing all these people like agents, the top producer off Craigslist. You got to be kidding me, right? That's it. I'm going to build on something that works for me, not that works for everybody else. And one of my greatest strengths is networking and content creation. Those are my 2 strengths, right? So I'm like, you know what? Let me lead into my sphere of influence. Let me actually grow my network. And then I'm already creating content on social media for fun. Like I was making YouTube videos for fun, right? So let me just do that. So what ended up happening is when my business started to go up, I love making content. So I kept making content. I kept networking. So my business kept going up. And I wish I did that earlier.
So kind of just find your strengths and what works. I think
lean on them. Yeah.
The biggest thing that I like here in Neighborhood Loans is that the mentorship is really good. Like,
is it actually good?
It's really good. Because I think I started my career as an agent. Not too bad talk the brokerage I started at, but I feel like the mentorship just wasn't there. Like,
so 95% of the time it's garbage. The mentorship.
At that brokerage I started my career in, I felt like it was not the best. Like I feel like it was very generic, whereas like here was more like have you ever heard of the greatness tracker?
The what?
The greatness tracker?
No.
I follow it like the Bible.
Greatness tracker?
Yeah.
Okay, what's it?
It's like this, so essentially in a day you're supposed to have 2 face-to-face like interactions. You're supposed to have 12 great conversations on the phone, either with referral partners, current clients, past clients, leads. You're supposed to break bread with, I think, 2 people a week. So that could just be taking a friend out to eat, breaking bread with a referral partner, someone who's referred you, mail 20 thank you cards a week, and like attend 2 networking events every month. And I just follow that. And then
you do that for a year, you can't lose.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So that's what it is. And then it's just like, it's more so like putting metrics to like, to what you got to do for each deal. And then once I have more data, right, I'm like, okay, so this is how many people I had to meet with to get this deal. And then, I don't know, it's just something to actually follow instead of like just going in blindly.
You know what I think it is? It's like I always believe in like action-driven goals versus result-driven goals, right? So I think that's an action-driven goal. So if you look at it, if you go in and you make your 12 phone calls for the day, you win. You can control that. But if you say, I need to have 2 contracts by the end of this week, you don't control that, right? So you might feel like you get discouraged because you didn't get the job done. So now you feel like you're falling behind, et cetera, et cetera. But the reality is if you get those 12 contacts and break bread, do this, that, the other, there's no way somebody doesn't do business with you.
Yeah. That's what
I like that, actually.
Yeah, it's really good.
Except for the handler written notes. I'm not sending those.
You don't like to do that?
Everything else I might be able to do.
I like doing that. I stopped doing them. I've been slacking on those, but they work. Especially like, I mean, obviously I take loan applications, so sometimes I'll have like my client's address. And I had one where they applied. They kind of went ghost on me, but they were like approved. Yeah. And then I mailed them. I just sent them a handwritten note. And I guess I made them feel bad, and they called me back.
There you go. What'd you say? Hey, you got me doing all this work, and you never called me back. Text me with love.
And I just really appreciate you starting the home search with me.
Yeah.
And it was just a thank card, and that's it. And then they called me back and they were like, hey, like, we just got this and this going on. Still want to go with you. Sorry, we haven't responded. Just want to let you know, like, this is what we got going on.
They probably love the follow-up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow-up is key.
I hate it. I'm so bad at it. It's insane.
I mean, honestly, I think a lot of people don't like cold calling. That's one thing I miss being about an agent. I love cold calling.
What? Did you hear this? I don't know what he's talking about.
I love just calling someone and being able to, like, talk to them in such a smooth manner that they're willing to meet with me. You know what I mean? There's something about that. Like, I love sales. Like, I didn't realize I like sales, but some people always say, I hate being a salesman. I love being a salesman. I love being blunt and direct and being like, hey, like, I want your money, and this is what I'm selling. Like,
oh, I could get down with that.
Like,
I get down with that.
Like, I don't.
So your script doesn't say, hey, how you doing today?
Yeah, I don't. I hate when people are like, hey, is this Steve? It's like, you already have Steve's phone number. Why don't you just say, hey, Steve? You already know it's Steve. Why are you asking if it's Steve?
That's true.
And then like, for
I got a rebuttal for that.
Okay.
Half the time I'm calling, I have no idea if I got the right number.
Yeah, but even if you don't, there's gonna say, oh no, this is not Steve. Like, regardless if you assume it or not, you might as well just assume it.
It's a valid point.
And then you come off as more competent, right? Especially because I've seen people get, like, referrals from their like, I've seen realtors or real estate professionals in general call a lead in front of me, and they will know that lead, let's say, for example, like, my mom refers me Juanita at work. I'm not going to say, hey, is this Juanita? I already know it's Juanita because my mom told me it's Juanita, so why would I ask you if you're you? Like, you know,
it's a valid point.
Like,
it's a valid point.
And it's just a skill that I learned at first because I did used to ask, like, hey, I remember one time I heard an agent cold call, and this was back when I was an agent. And this was what she told, because I was giving her feedback. She was like, hey, good morning, is this Steve? I'm so sorry to be calling you so early in the morning. This is so-and-so with so-and-so company. I'm like,
I'm already bored. Huh? I'm with you, dude. I get straight to the point, right? I had a very similar script because I used to do, like, all the scripts in the world. Like, I had one where it just pissed me off. Like, hey, how you doing today? How's your day going so far? I don't care. I don't care, right? So I would call, hey, this is Aram with the Agent 6. Just call and see if you have any plans of selling your home. No? Cool. Click next, right? That's always worked for me. So I'm with you on that. Just get straight to the point. I've had people, hey, this is blank, blank. I get a lot of lending calls. Like, if you want to, like, raise capital for your business. And, like, hey, this is from blah, blah, blah capital. How's your day going? Horrible. I'm dying. What is it? Like, just get straight to the point. I love that.
Yeah, straight to the point. I mean, I guess you decided you like investing better. What are some things you did like about being an agent?
The money was great. I love just getting that commission check. Oh, man, that was good. I forgot all the pain and suffering. As soon as that check touches my hand, I love it, right? So I love that part. I love the actual I love negotiating. So I don't like sales as much, but I do love, like, putting deals together. Like, that stuff is fun to me. I just don't like, what's the word I would say? Is like, I like cold calling someone and trying to convince them to hire me to be their agent. I hate that part, right? Or trying to, like, follow with somebody like, hey, let me help you buy a house. Don't care about that shit. I just always didn't like it. But you come to me, you want to buy a house, no problem. And I would love the whole, like, okay, let's go find you a great deal. Okay, this is good. Let's put the offer in. Structure this way. I just called the agent. I got this amount of information out of them. This is what I would structure it as, and then go from there. That part I loved. And the money. The money was great.
When you trying to get the first commercial property, did you, like, work?
Is this their first deal ever?
The first commercial property in general. They have some investments, but they don't have commercial property.
Yeah. Just find a deal in a good location that's going to cash flow for you. That's got a little bit of upside. So what I look for is low rents. There's a lot of landlords that are, like, 30 years old, and they've been owning it for 30 years.
Is that old?
Yeah, I'm almost 30, yeah. Like, let's say you're 67. Like, my buildings I bought were from older landlords that just never raised the rent. So when I bought my building, the rents were on average from $600 to $800 a month. All I did, bro, was send an email and let them know it's $1,100 now. And all of them stayed. So overnight, I make an extra $300 per unit times 7, whatever the math is, right? Some higher, some lower, somewhere like 8. The highest rent was $850. That same unit I rented for $1,300 2 weeks after I bought the place.
Okay.
Right?
Last question: would you rather buy a vacant unit or a vacant property or a property that's already had tenants?
Vacant, 100% vacant. what a lot of investors don't realize is how easy it is to find a tenant. Well, last time I put up a unit, I had 500 messages on Facebook alone. Not even counting like Zillow and all the other websites. Probably another 120 from there too, right? So I would take it vacant because then I can control the tenant that's in there. I have no idea what level of background check that the previous owner did, who this person is, and there might be a psychopath. Like I inherited some tenants from one of my building, and one of them was unhinged. We had to get him out of there. So thank God he left without too much headache. I didn't have to evict them. But it was a nightmare. Like every day, it's like all the tenants didn't like them. Everybody was like stressed out. It was causing problems, right? I would rather just I'll take a 7-unit building empty and lease it out in like 3 weeks.
Cool. What time is it? I'll say we're done, right? 11?
Go ahead.
People you start.
I have so many tips. I'm trying to figure out in what context, brother.
Like, they're trying to make some money. They want to buy like the best way to kind of just sell it, but they kind of make their money and move on to it.
So I guess I can't answer just because I need to know how much, like, everyone starts at different places, right? So the advice I give to you, if you have no money versus if you have 100,000, it's going to be a little bit different, right?
But what was the question?
Tips on people starting investing.
Do you need this for people for they?
Just starting flipping or just flipping? Never. Oh, this is the biggest tip. Never buy a property that you're not willing to hold on to or you can't hold on to. That is how people lose in real estate. And very just timing, very lucky to get into real estate after 08, right? Because you just study that and say, okay, all the people who lost were the highly leveraged ones that needed to sell, right? So, for example, my building, my exit plan is $1.1 million. I bought it for $730. We're gonna put about $80,000 into it and sell for $1.1 million. That's my number. If I cannot get $1.1 million, guess what? I'm not selling, and I don't have to sell. I will hold that as long as I want to hold it because it's cash flow positive in a great location, almost no vacancy. I should say almost, literally no vacancy, right? So that's an asset I'm willing to keep. So when I said A-class location, B-class location, that's what I mean, right? So I have a flip in Arlington Heights. I bought it in a way that I know if the market could crash today in the middle of this podcast, it will not change anything because I've planned for that as well, right? I know my rental numbers. I know we bought it all cash. I have no liability. I'm not really leveraged on it because I'm not about to buy a property I can't rent out with a hard money loan that's going to take I know this was going to be a little bit bigger project, so I purposely bought it all cash, right? So only buy assets you're willing and able to hold on to. And then sell them if you can for a good profit.
That is a really good tip.
Thank you. Great question, sir. Great question.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Appreciate your time.
Of course.